Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 State of the City Luncheon. My name's Candace Tillman, and I'm the Assistant City Manager. We are thrilled to have you all here today as we reflect on our accomplishments and look forward to the future. I want to extend our generous thanks to these sponsors, the Kiwanis Club and Rotary Clubs of Springfield. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Clyde Richard to open us in prayer and lead us in the pledge.
Well, I first asked Ann and Ryan, they were desperate. They asked the county attorney to give the invocation at the city meeting, and they said they wanted to reach across the aisle. And then they later came up to me and said, oh, by the way, since you're up there, would you lead in the Pledge of Allegiance? So I thought about the older lady at Thanksgiving, the Christmas vacation, when they called on her to say grace, and she stood up and started with the Pledge of Allegiance. So we'll have a prayer if you'll bow your heads with you for just a minute. Dear Lord, we have so many things to be thankful for your grace, for your Son that came to save us from our sins and allow us the opportunity to enter into your kingdom. We're appreciative of the men and women in our armed forces that keep us safe, our police and sheriff's departments and all of our first responders, and we give thanks to them. We give thanks to the city of Springfield, their leaders, their elected and appointed leaders, and their employees especially, who keep the wheels running and the lights on for us in Springfield every day. Lord, in these coming times, let us follow your lead. Let us think before we speak. Let us treat our neighbor in good faith. It's my view we're, at the end of the day, all in this together. And let us keep that in mind as we go forward in our lives and hopefully enter your kingdom. In these things we pray. Amen. If you'll stand and face the flag, please, and join with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Clyde. And now it is my great honor to introduce the City of Springfield Mayor, Ann Schneider-Williams.
Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for always supporting the City of Springfield. It takes all of us. Not one person does this alone. And I want to start by thanking our board and introducing our board of mayor and aldermen. Please raise your hand as I call your name. Mr. James Hubbard, Ward 1. Bobby Trotter, Ward 2. Mr. Jeff Gregg, Ward 3. Mr. Tim Harris, Ward 5. He says I should put my glasses on, Ward 4. And he is also serving as our vice mayor. Miss Lisa Arnold, Ward 5. Ward 6, Miss Emily Green Holloman. I so appreciate each and every one of you for serving and giving your time to the City of Springfield. I also want to recognize our volunteer boards. These people make such a difference in our lives by serving. I said volunteers this time. You call them, you ask them to serve, and they always say yes. Our Planning Commission, if you're on any of these boards, please stand up. Planning, Airport, Zoning, come on, Library, Beer Board, Historical Preservation, Construction Board, Springfield Industrial Board, Parks and Recreation. Thank you. As I reflect on the past year, it has been an amazing year in the City of Springfield. And I first want to say thank you when we had the tornado. of everyone stepping up. I know so many of you in this room stepped up, brought us water, brought us food. We were able to feed all of our crews, and that does not go unrecognized. So thank you so much for being who you are. Partnerships are what makes our city better. So I want to talk about the impact of partnerships this past year. Our jail alley upgrade was the historic Springfield events coordinators. They put the benches in at Jail Alley. And have you been down to see the lights on at Jail Alley? They were installed last week. Our Back to School Bash, Chosen and Social Dweebs were a partner in that, and it was a great success. Shop with the Cop, our Robertson County Sheriff's Office, our Robertson County Schools, Walmart, Rotary Club, and many of you in this room who wrote individual checks to make this a success. Thank you. Springfield Buddies, it's the baseball league. Shine Pediatric Therapy is a partner in that. Our skate park at Garner Street Park is Springfield Kiwanis. Our basketball courts at J. Travis Price Park is a Robertson County Health Department partnership. There's many other partnerships that have gone on in the past year. I know we have a lot of churches in the room that have done stuff for us, and so we are so appreciative for all your partnerships and hope you will continue to help us. The city of Springfield is dedicated to the downtown investment. In 2023, we started the Main Street Committee. This committee consists of local government representatives, business owners, property owners, and residents. The mission of this group is to be a catalyst in cultivating and nurturing a thriving downtown. We want to make downtown even better. And one of the ways we're making progress is bringing more and more people in for tourism. Now, we want you all to come to all of our events, but we also want to bring in our neighbors from around Middle Tennessee. So we're doing that with community-centered events. Our first Friday night market, it's bringing 2,500 to 5,000 people the month of May through October. It's always the first Friday of each month. How many of you in this room has been to First Friday Night Market? How many of you have been on the dance floor on Friday Night Market? Okay. Now, that event's coming up again, and Entice is going to be here, and they're a great group, and they will get you out on the dance floor. So I expect to see some of you lovely faces out there with me. Our Christmas parade brings 4,100 people to downtown Springfield, and that's always a great day. Our horse-drawn carriage rides, they're free, and they brought 1,195 people to downtown Springfield to ride in a carriage ride. That's definitely unique and something that we've added to the city of Springfield. We had our youth fishing rodeo out at J. Travis Price Park. We had 900 participants come out for that fishing rodeo. It is the largest in the state of Tennessee. And if you want to see something and see those kids smile that have never caught a fish before, my husband and I were out there for that event, and you could, the smiles, oh, they were so large, and the kids running around. I caught a fish for the first time in my life. I've never been fishing before. This is amazing. And then they had Terry had tons of prizes out there for them, so that was fun. Freedom Fest brought in over 6,000 people to the fairgrounds, and I thank the Robertson County Fair Association for allowing us to take that event down there to the fairgrounds. Winter Wonderland brought 38,000 people to J. Travis Price Park. And you know, there's other people around Middle Tennessee that have lights that they advertise on TV, but you know, I think we got the better show in Springfield. Absolutely. And Mr. Martin, Mr. Terry Martin, tells me a little secret. He tells me it's going to be bigger and better this year. I took videos last year, so I'm counting on you to make that bigger and better with your group. Our Legacy Golf Course, some of you may not know, it's owned by the city of Springfield. We had 32,000 rounds of golf. Mr. Ryan Martin, did you play any of those? Phew. Good. We were able to host the Music City Shootout. It brought 10 women's college teams to Robertson County. And you know what? They spent their money in Springfield, so that helps us all. I want you to save the date because the mayor loves Christmas. And our Christmas parade will be December the 7th at 6 p.m. I need some help, though. I need some help because we need 150 floats. We had 122. I'm pretty sure we broke a record last year, I think. I need 150 floats. Raise your hand if you can bring a new float this year. Come on. I know some of you got pickup trucks, you got businesses, you can bring a float. I need you because the mayor wants the Christmas parade to be bigger and better. One of the things that's helping the city of Springfield is our grants that we received last year. Gardner Street received a $500,000 grant from the Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation to improve Gardner Street. We're going to get a new playground. We're going to get pickleball courts. I've been asking for those for a very long time. We received some tourism grants. We received $30,000 from the Tennessee Department of Tourism Development to fund advertising initiatives. We received $11,300 from the Tennessee Arts Commission to install a mural down at Springfield Greenway close to the fairgrounds. If you haven't gone down to take pictures there, walk down and look at that. It's really pretty. We received $1,866 from Greater Nashville Regional Council to fund tourism. And we've also received $100,000 from the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development to fund some new technology and public Wi-Fi access at Gardner Street Park. We're happy to report that the fire department received a grant from the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. They were able to purchase self-contained breathing apparatuses with that $26,100. The Tennessee Department of Environmental and Conservation gave us $151,000 so we could install an EV fast charging station right here at the center if you haven't seen that. Our police department received $197,432 from the state of Tennessee to purchase public safety monitoring tools. And they also received a $200,000 grant for recruiting and training. We all know how hard it is to find new employees, so that was an exciting grant that we received. The city of Springfield is committed to our safety. I would say that's our number one goal, is to make sure that we're living, playing, and working in a safe environment. 4 consecutive years, we've had double-digit decrease in violent crime. We had 1 homicide in 2023 and 1 robbery. In 2022, we had 3 robberies. In 2021, we had 2 robberies. So I thank the police department for what they're doing, and I also thank the Robertson County Sheriff's Office for helping us in all of those, keeping us all safe. We don't do that alone, so thank you to the Robertson County Sheriff's Office. Violent crime is down 42%, but we have some areas of concern. For the past 2 years, our motor crash it's over 600. I need, and I'm talking to myself, I need you to get off your phones, quit playing with the radio, quit putting your makeup on, quit driving down Memorial Boulevard, and I sit in the bank and hear the crashes, and then I hear the fire department go out. We're all guilty. I know I'm guilty. I'm kind of like the preacher. I know I do it too, because I'm in a hurry. But we need to lower those motor crashes. Our DUIs are up too, and that's a very big concern. DUIs rose to 76 in 22, and it's in 23, it went to 103, so that's very concerning also. The City of Springfield is committed to improving our transportation. Our Batson Parkway extension, it will soon open in September. It's a little behind because, when we started that, it snowed quite a bit for a couple of weeks. The Batson Parkway will connect Batson Parkway to Black Patch and then over to 41 South. So that'll be a great corridor to take some traffic off of some of our other roads. Our recent paving projects are Black Patch Drive, New Chapel Road, Main Street. You'd be surprised when I'm out running in the mornings at 5 a.m. I've gotten several questions. A guy rolled down his window. He was on the way to Northcrest to work, and he wanted to know, when is Black Patch going to be paved? And I kept telling him for months, it's coming, it's coming. So we've had some great paving, so I'm sorry that the roads have been a little bad out through there, but it's much better now. We're going to spend $1.9 million on paving projects, and we've received a grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation to help with that $1.9 million in paving. We're going to also do sidewalk installation on Moreland Drive. That's very well needed. We have a strong economy in the city of Springfield. Our unemployment rate is at under 3%, and as you well know, all of you are having problems getting employees. So we want to celebrate, but we also are all continuing to need employees. So there's a lot of people moving in our area, so hopefully we'll all be able to find people to fill those jobs. And last year, we had 97 new business licenses in the city of Springfield. 97. Now that could mean they're in their homes or they're opening a storefront. So we're very excited to tell you that we had 97 last year, and I think we cut a lot of ribbons last year. Over $8.7 million in sales tax was collected. Why is that so important to the city of Springfield? Why do we want to shop local? We want to shop local so the sales tax dollars come back to us. It goes to our police department, our fire department, our streets. It makes our city better. I know we can't get everything in Springfield, but we will continue to shop local and help our own selves. I'm so excited about the future of Springfield and where we're headed and all the new growth, but we also have to manage it. And I thank the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for always thinking about how we are going to manage that. And to our city manager, I'm going to call on him to come up next. Mr. Ryan Martin, he's doing an excellent job of following what we are passing, and I appreciate what he does for us each and every day. Mr. Ryan Martin.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I will say I'm kind of concerned because now we're 2 years in a row and you keep admitting criminal activity on stage here, so I think we probably don't need to invite the law enforcement folks anymore. The truth's the truth, that's right. So, hey, thank you all for being here, and I say it every year, but I'm really amazed that this many folks will come out to an event like this. And what that does for us is, as folks that come to work for you every single day, it inspires us because that's what we do. We work for you, and so we're encouraged that people care. One of our goals is to be transparent, and that's why we live stream the Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings. That's why we have a citizen newsletter. That's why we have events like this, because we want to make sure you know what we're doing for you. And if we're doing something you don't want us to do, you feel free to tell us to stop, or if there's something that you want. It's an opportunity for us to be transparent. Government shouldn't take place in the shadows. It needs to take place out in the open so you can see exactly what's going on. So thank you, Mayor. I want to give the Mayor a shout out too real quick before we move on, because a lot of people don't realize the double duty that she pulls. She works at a bank full-time. For those of you that don't know, most of you know that, and she also is the mayor, and she had gotten a citizen call, I guess it was last week, Mayor, and she called me and she said, hey, I had a concerned citizen call me about something. Will you look into it? I was like, absolutely. I was like, and how's your day going? She goes, well, we have a tech outage, so we're trying to do everything by hand. So here she is, old school banking by hand, while trying to help out the citizens for the city of Springfield. So give the mayor a hand, if you will. Our fiscal year began on July the 1st, so we're going to look, our fiscal year, for those that don't know, run July 1st to June 30th. So our fiscal year just began a few weeks ago, and we passed a budget. It's a $135 million budget. And I see some of the looks. Some of you that aren't familiar with our budget are like, wow, that's a really large budget for a city your size. Well, there's an explanation for that. And that's because we do a lot more than most cities our size do. We have the utilities, so we provide all the electricity, as the mayor was talking about in Springfield. We provide a wastewater service, a water service, a natural gas. We do garbage pickup, as well as stormwater. So we do a lot of things other than just those general government functions and services that you would normally expect from a city. In fact, 80% of that $135 million is utilities. So it makes up a good portion of our budget. So what does our budget from a general government standpoint actually look like? It's the other 20% of that. It's $27.5 million. What's the general government stuff? That's police, that's fire, that's parks. Those are streets, the paving that the mayor was talking about. That's what those things are, and that makes up about 25% of, or 20% of our budget. One of the great things, because people always want to know about our budget this year, is no property tax increase. We're very fortunate to have a sales tax base. So of that $27 million, about 11 of that total, the mayor talked about our record local option sales tax, about $11 million total sales tax in FY24, which is huge. So property tax, for those that don't know, really only makes up about $6 million, $5.5 to $6 million of our general fund budget. So when you shop local, that means we can pay those firefighters and have those police cars and officers to put in those cars with sales tax dollars versus property tax. It takes the burden. The fire engine's still got to be there on call, right? So what matters is how we pay for it. We're pretty simple here at the city of Springfield. We're either going to pay for it via sales tax or via property tax. And so if you shop local, that takes that burden off of that property tax. And that's why recruiting commercial development here in Springfield is so important. Because if we do that, we know we've got folks shopping. We know that we have to leave to get some things, as the mayor was talking about. And we know that if we can get those businesses here, those sales tax dollars are how we're going to be able to pave Black Patch Drive and pave those streets that need to be paved and put those fire engines and the greenway and everything that we do to provide those services. So that's why shopping local is so important. It keeps that burden off our property tax, which our property tax isn't that bad in Springfield. We're about 187th out of 298 cities in Tennessee that have a property tax. So we're at the bottom tier, not to mean that we'll never have to have a property tax increase, but we're in good shape this year. We're relying on sales tax to carry us to provide those services that you want us to provide. Everybody's had some economic impacts. We all know what inflation's done. We did have to pass an electric rate increase for the first time since 2018. It's been a long time. It's a minimal increase. It's about $5 to $12 a month on an average bill. A lot of that depends on you. If you have an energy efficient household or you manage your energy well at home, then then you're going to be on the lower end of that. If you're like me and you have a 7-year-old who turns lights on everywhere in the house and never turns them off, then you're going to be on the $12 a month side of that like I am. So it just kind of depends on your energy efficiency and how you do it. But it's a relatively minor increase, and the purpose of that is inflation. We all know what the costs of goods and services have done. Our O&M has done the exact same thing. Operations and maintenance has gone way up over the last few years, just like our household budgets have, just like some of your businesses and what you do on a day-to-day basis. Equipment, we have transformers, picking on electric for a minute. Sorry, Terry, picking on electric for a minute. Our transformers, they used to cost $200,000, are now $600,000. A fire engine, where's Jeff? There he is, fire chief's. A fire engine that used to cost $600,000 is now over $1 million. And this has all happened, relatively recently in the last 5 or so years. So we've been fortunate to hold off an electric rate increase, but, the time has come and we had to do that. Our board recognized that in order to continue to fund those operations, that's what we were going to have to do. Personnel is another issue, and I know we have some business owners here and some business leaders, and personnel is another thing that we try to keep up with. In the budget, we have a 3% raise for our employees. Speaking of which, I think we have the greatest staff of any city in Tennessee. If you are a department head or a city staff member, please stand up. Don't be shy. If you're a department head or a city, we've got plenty of you here. Come on, there we go. Our staff comes to work every day with one goal, and that's to serve you. And they give up, oftentimes, some private sector pay to come to work for you and serve you on a daily basis. So I appreciate our staff, our department heads that lead those staff. But we all know, and you've done it too, what a war we've been in, a competition for staffing over the last few years here in Middle Tennessee. We have 264 full-time positions budgeted, a handful of part-timers. It's about 270 total employees or positions that we have. But we've been in a fierce competition in Middle Tennessee. We're competing with a lot of different employers. As I said earlier, we're in a lot of different industries, right? So we're in the electric industry. We're in the wastewater industry. So we're competing with other electric utilities. We're not just cities, and we're also competing in the law enforcement space. And so when the sheriff's office raises their pay, then we're either going to lose folks or we have to raise our pay. It's a competition. I mean, everybody's been in a war for staffing, and part of that is due to just some circumstances beyond our control. We have baby boomers, and I'm not going to pick on anybody. I'm not picking on any generation, but I'm going to show you, and some of you know this. Well, I've had conversations with a few of you in the room about this, but we have baby boomers leaving the workforce. They were a large generation, are a large generation, at a greater rate than the Gen Zs that are coming behind them to fill. So inherently, you've got a gap in the workforce already. More folks leaving than you have filling them. You also have a dynamic between generational mindset. The baby boomers, when they came to work, what they wanted to do is they wanted to stay, they wanted to be committed, and they wanted to build a career. They wanted to get promoted, right? The Gen Z, and I'm not picking, I know we have some Gen Z folks in the room. I'm not saying one way's wrong or one way's right, but Gen Z is who's going to pay me the most this week, right? And if somebody else will give me $2 more an hour next week, I'm out, right? And so I'm not saying one way's wrong or one way's right, but it creates a shift, right? And we have to adjust to that. As you know, when we're running organizations, you know that, and that's kind of what we've had to do. When I came to the city of Springfield in 2018 from the county, first thing I did was look at the workforce. And I pulled up all of our employees, and I wanted to see how long they had been there. In 2018, about 40% of our employees had been there for 20 years or longer. That was incredible, right? Told me a lot about the place that it was. It was a great place to work. People were willing to stay. That number today is 20%. Tons of retirements. Post-COVID, we all know, post-COVID, a lot of folks that were eligible to retire have retired. We've seen that. And again, the Gen Zs aren't really there to fill them. The job applications that we used to get 40 applications for, we now get 6 or 7, right? And so we're fortunate to have the employees that we do have and that they're willing to come to work and committed. But what does that mean? That means that the employees with less than 3 years with the city are over a third of our workforce now. That's a challenge, right? We had a situation just a couple of weeks ago that could have been a very, very dangerous situation. And when I talked to the supervisor about it, I was like, hey, what happened and how did that happen? He told me. He said, well, they didn't know that was there. Well, why didn't they know that was there? Well, they haven't been here long enough, right? I know it's there because I've been here 30 years. That's what he told me. And I wasn't with them. I should have been with them or could have told them. So we've had to talk about some things. That could have been a dangerous situation in one of our utilities and could have resulted in some injuries. So talking about how to make up for that institutional knowledge gap, how to make up for that experience. As we provide you services, we want to make sure that we do those in the most efficient way. So that makes a difficult challenge. So retention is tough. Pay and benefits tend to be where we lean toward that. But again, we've got folks coming into the workforce that don't care about health insurance because they can stay on their parents' insurance until they're 26. So we've got to lean more towards the pay side. We also are in a workforce market now where people can work from home. And so we're competing with that, with the hybrid or work from home workforce. And I don't know if y'all have noticed this, But it's really difficult for the firefighter to put out a fire at your house if he's at home, right? It's really hard to restore electricity to the city when the lineman is in his living room, right? So we're not really equipped for that type of environment. So it puts us at a competitive disadvantage because people who want to do hybrid work or go work from home can go to those employers that are offering that. So it's a little bit tough. I am pleased to report that we have been able to get our median hourly wage for city employees up a little bit. It's probably not where some of your organizations are or where we might like it to be or some of our competitors, but it is up. So formulate a number in your head. I'm not going to ask you. The mayor was asking everybody to raise their hand and all of that, and I was afraid she was going to put me on the spot. But I won't do that, but just think about a number just to see if you're right or wrong about what the median hourly wage for a city employee is. It's $23.60 an hour, roughly. We have some positions, obviously, that make a little less than that. We have some that make a little more. I tell a lot of parents who have high schoolers that don't want to go to a four-year institution that they need to tell their kid to be a lineman because there's a shortage in that industry, and it's a highly paying industry. Once you complete your apprenticeship, the city of Springfield will pay you between $85,000 and $90,000 a year before overtime. And so that's a good living, right? Especially for a 19, 20-year-old kid or person. And we're competing with NES who starts them at over 100. So that's a tough, that just is a snapshot of the competition that we're in, but that's a great industry. So I'll go to springfieldtn.gov and click on employment. We'll be glad to have your application. What else is in our budget? We talked about last year putting a contract on a piece of property on the southern end of the city for a new fire station. We do need a new fire station. It'll be our third fire station. It'll be out on Batson Parkway, and so we plan on having that under construction, working on procuring the services to build that now. And so that also includes an apparatus, a $1.3 million, I believe, aerial apparatus. Hurts me every time I say it, Jeff. It just hurts. $1.3 million apparatus to staff that station, as well as new firefighters. We also have in the budget some preliminary design funds for a new city hall. It's time. It's past time if you ask some of us that are in that building and deal with the problems it has every day. But some of you have been around here long enough, and I won't pick on anybody, but some of you have been around long enough to know when City Hall used to enter off of Fifth Avenue, right? And then the new City Hall that you come in off of North Main was built in 91, Gina? Is that right? 91? 91. So that's the new City Hall, and it was a great space, but that building has issues. The old part, the new part, we call it the new part. It's 34 years old, but it has issues, and we've outgrown it. We have some structural deficiencies. We have a lot of floods, more floods than we want because part of it's below grade. So we need to do something about City Hall. So we're looking at doing that in the budget, and our Board of Mayor and Aldermen has recognized that that's an issue, and we're going to move forward with that, hopefully staying in that downtown footprint. We're going to finish the improvements to Garner Street Park with pickleball courts and a restroom facility to go along with the skate park. Thanks to the Kiwanis Club for the partnership on that. We're really excited about what's happening to Garner Street Park. I believe Mayor also mentioned that we're have a grant to put Wi-Fi eventually in out at Garner Street Park. That's going to be kind of a test run for seeing how Wi-Fi in our parks works out. So we're excited about those things and moving into the future and trying to provide better services to you. We also have the new wastewater treatment plant that should get under construction, as well as water treatment plant upgrades. And we'll talk a little bit about water and wastewater. We'll start with wastewater, unfortunately. When wastewater comes up at City Hall, we get really stressed out, and probably more stressed than we should. But we're somewhere between 2007 Britney Spears and Ben Affleck on the patio. It's just disastrous. I mean, I'm very real with you about what we do well. We have great parks and what we're doing well and what we're proud of that we're doing for you, but I'll also be very real with you about what the challenges are. So we had another wastewater rate increase this year. It was an 8% increase, about $5 to $8 a month or so on a monthly bill. That's what, because people see the percentages, but really what it matters, what it amounts to is $5 to $8. Rates are going to remain high. We'll have at least one more, I would say one, maybe two more rate increases that will be necessary before the plant construction is complete. So Just want to be real, want to set those expectations. There's not a thing in the world that I can do about it or anybody can do about it. We all know what has taken place with spending $63 million on the collection part of the wastewater system the last 10 years, and now just in time to build a plant, right? And so I had somebody tell me the other day, well, say, Ryan, just don't build the plant. Forget all this growth stuff, just don't build the plant. Well, we're not building the plant for growth. The plant's not to accommodate growth. We're not building a new plant by and because people are moving to Springfield. We're building a plant because, A, it's 40 years old and end of life. Secondly, when we return that wastewater, we always talk about wastewater at a luncheon, and I don't know why. I haven't figured that out. When we return that wastewater to the environment, it has to be nearly drinkable, okay? So if you want to sign up for that task before you leave, let me know. But it has to be nearly drinkable, right? So we have to treat that and be within certain limits. Well, the state is changing those limits on us, and our 40-year-old plant can't meet those limits. So we have to build a new plant anyway, and so we're just going to add some capacity to make sure we can accommodate that growth. We do hope for construction to begin by the end of this calendar year. I'm holding on to that hope, but probably spring of 20 or winter spring of 25, but I'm still holding out hope, and I would refuse to put 2025 up there because I'm optimistic. I still don't know what the cost is going to be. We expect that to be between $50 and $60 million. So when we talk about rates, what the rates go toward is paying off debt, right? About 50 cents of every dollar that of wastewater rates that you pay goes to pay off debt. So the good news is rates won't have to be that high forever. Rates can come down, right? We did a water rate decrease with some debt that was paid off a couple of years ago. So it's not one of those we take the money and we never give it back, or we're just, it's always going to be that way, right? If we don't need it, I don't want it. All right, so we did a water rate decrease a couple of years ago, and when some of this debt gets paid off of wastewater, those rates are coming down. Some folks have asked where the new wastewater plant is going to be. It's going to be at the end of Lawrence Lane, adjacent to our current one. We have enough space out there to build the new plant. Our water plant upgrades are going to take our plant to 10 million gallon per day capacity. That's awesome. We're currently producing about 4 million gallons a day. We also secure and purchase 2.33 million gallons per day from a secondary source, the Logan Todd Regional Water Commission. So that gives us in the future the ability to provide 12 million gallons per day of water. So that for the foreseeable future and to accommodate growth, our water sources should be well secured. Speaking of growth, we didn't have a lot last year. Things hit a lull for us in 2023, which some of us are really grateful for, to be able to catch our breath and catch up. Some of you, especially those in the real estate industry, weren't, so don't hate me for saying that. But 2024 has already picked up. We issued more building permits in the first half of 2024 than we did in all of 2023. So things have picked back up. The comprehensive growth plan was completed. This is something we talked about last year that we had begun that process. It was about a 12 to 14 month process. We completed that, and really you completed that. It's not our growth plan. That growth plan doesn't belong to the city staff or city departments. That's your growth plan. A lot of you in the room came to the public input meetings that we had. You filled out we had thousands of examples of public input in this growth plan. You filled out the surveys online. You talked to your elected officials. You sent us emails. You let us know and responded when we said, hey, how do you want to grow? And you responded and you told us how you want to grow. So this is really your growth plan. And so we're excited that that's finalized. And it's on our website, springfieldtn.gov. If you look, I think if you roll over the government tab, it's one of the first or second things there, and you can take a look at that. What's in there that really matters? It's a 20-year growth plan, so it's going to take us through 2044. I know you can't read that, and I'm not going to read it to you, but if you see this page on there, this is kind of sums up a lot of what the growth plan is about. You see the different columns. There's economics, there's transportation, land use, utilities and emergency services, and parks and environmental resources. And there's several facets under each category of things for us to focus on over the next 20 years, things that you told us you wanted us to do. When to grow, when not to grow, where not to grow, and that sort of thing, which leads us to the map. It also contains a future land use map. And so you can see that this is going to guide growth over the next 20 years. Where we're going to grow, where we're not going to grow. You can see there's a lot of green on there. Green is going to be agriculture and undeveloped, right? So there's a lot of places where growth makes sense, and there's a lot of places where it doesn't. And so that land use map will guide kind of how we handle growth over the next 20 years. We're going to continue to grow. What matters is that we grow responsibly. That's our focus, and that's what we want to do. So what does that mean? In the growth plan, in the public input, it was a great discussion. You told us you were worried about traffic, right? So in the growth plan, that was one of the guiding principles. You're worried about traffic. You don't want traffic congestion like some other cities that have experienced growth. So that's what went into the growth plan as far as worried about that and where to put growth, right? Ensuring that we have the infrastructure capacity. We just talked about water and wastewater will be secured. We've got to build a new, we'll have to confront the electric side of that with a new substation, which we have preliminarily some money in the budget to start looking down that road to make sure that we can provide electricity. Roadways, we've got to have a good solid street network. Maintaining public safety. We can't grow such that we can't respond, our fire department can't respond timely and adequately. And we can't grow such that we sacrifice our crime rate. The mayor hit on it, but I want to hammer it home. Does everybody understand how low the crime rate is in Springfield right now? I mean, those numbers, one robbery, those are incredible. I mean, you take it back to the early 90s, in which Renee and I were having a conversation about this, and this is why I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this, Renee. We were talking about this before the meeting. And she had a client, do you mind me sharing that story? Putting you on the spot. She said that she had a client that said, well, I was looking at Springfield, but now I'm not because I hear the crime rate's really high there. And she laughed because Renee's a good listener, and Renee's heard me preach about this before, about the crime rate. And so we talk about somehow early 90s, whenever it happened, Springfield developed a reputation of high crime. And so in Middle Tennessee, we've not been able to shake that. We talk about one robbery and one homicide compared to the 60 or 70 of robberies that we had in 2008, or you look at the 90s. I mean, these are historic lows. We've never seen this in my lifetime, and other folks that are a little bit older than me have said that you haven't seen this in your lifetime either. So that's a priority, y'all. I mean, that's a big deal to keep this crime rate where it is. Those are good, really, really good numbers, and we're safer than a lot of cities in Tennessee that you might not expect us to be safer than. Also, a lower cost per service, that's lower taxes and rates, right? When we can, lower that cost per service. What do I mean? I use garbage pickup as a good example of this all the time. It's cheaper for you, not us, because it's your sanitation rates. I mean, you pay the sanitation rate to fund the truck to pick up your garbage, right? But it's cheaper for you if we pick up 5 houses in 500 feet versus 5 houses in 5 miles, right? It's just cheaper, right? All right, so that brings up the density argument. Is density good or bad? Well, it depends, right? Depends on where. It depends on, some people demonize density and some people want density. Density can be good for walkability, livability, cost per service. Density can be bad for traffic congestion. So what do? You try to get it right. It's not just about rooftops, regardless of what Facebook says. Whew, man, it's my annual Facebook bash there. Some people say we've got to have more rooftops. We've got to have more. We don't have enough rooftops. Other people say all they want is rooftops. All the city's doing is rooftops. Well, yes and no. What matters is doing it responsibly and doing it well. It's also about the law, right? There's very little we can do to tell somebody what they can do with their property, right? I mean, there's just not a lot. There's some zoning, we can, if your grass is higher than 12 inches or, there's some things, zoning regulations that we can do, but very little that we can really do and tell folks what to do with their property. So what matters? It's about getting it right. It's about getting when density is right and when density is maybe not right for the city, when it's not good for services, when it's not good for transportation. But when it works, right? And that's a lower cost per service and livability. People like walkability and livability. I say this all the time, growth isn't stopped, it's managed, right? So our job, what you've asked us to do is manage that. We're going to grow, Middle Tennessee's exploded, and so we know it's going to happen. We're trying to manage it and do it in a responsible way, which is why that growth plan was so important, to hear your input on what we're doing and how you want to grow. Some other things that are happening in Springfield, we talked about the 400-acre development last year. It's not really 400 acres anymore. It's closer to 500. That's part of the delay in it, is they've taken on some more parcels. Some other property owners have kind of gotten on board. They're in the preliminary design phase there, and so we do expect that to still come this year for annexation and rezoning. And that would tie together Highway 431, Tom Austin Highway, and State Highway 49 as another primary corridor through there to alleviate, again, that traffic congestion. Some of you have seen probably an public input meeting that the developer is hosting for a development called Lookout Crossing. That development, I think that's going to take place at the library. I think that meeting will be at some point in time. That development is about 340 units. It'll have some commercial. It's on the new Batson extension. So now that Batson extension is getting completed and we've tied together those two highways, you'll see more development. This is an example of that. You'll see some commercial development out there to go along with the college and the elementary school. That's where our new fire station will be. Residential developments are moving out there as well. That's in addition to the 2,500 units that are approved and expected in the next 10 to 15 years. It's a big deal, and so we're just trying to make sure that we get it right. We have seen some increased commercial development. Chick-fil-A opened this past year. We're excited about that. Whataburger's getting ready to open. Dos Bros is open. Wingstop will open. We've got a lot of things. We've got some national restaurant chains that have made some site visits here recently to Springfield that we're excited about working with, and hopefully they're going to plant here. I had somebody ask me at church on Sunday, said, "Ryan, we need a steakhouse." And I wasn't sure if she was asking me to quit my job and open one, or if she misunderstood that the city of Springfield isn't in the restaurant business, right? So I said, well, I'm doing the best I can, but if you want to open one, let me know and we can help make that happen for you. But anyway, we're working on those things, trying to recruit those things. And you've probably seen the site work at Shops at Moreland Development on Tom Austin Highway. A lot of retail that's coming there, big box retail and other retail that we're really excited about that will help, again, our local economy and give you an opportunity, an extra opportunity to shop local. So we're excited about those things. I'll tell you what our mission is, our staff. There's three things. This mission statement guides what we do, and it has three components to it. Provide efficient, cost-effective services. That's goal number one. We want to be efficient. We don't want to be wasteful. We want to make sure that we do what you want us to do. Again, we work for you. We're in the customer service business and customer service industry. Two, we want to enhance the public perception of the government. We want you to have confidence in our ability to provide those services to you. That's important to us. That's really, really important. And then thirdly, improve the quality of life in Springfield. Everything that we do should be guided by those three principles. And so that's what we set out to do every day. We thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for giving me the opportunity to do this. And thank you for the opportunity for allowing me and our staff to serve you every day. Thank you all very much.
At this time, I have a few questions for both the mayor and city manager, so don't go too far. These questions were submitted by residents and visitors just like you, and so we'll go ahead and get started. First question, does the city spray for mosquitoes in neighborhoods?
I'll take that one. The answer is no, but we might. It depends on you. Tell me how much more you want to shop local or how much you want your property taxes to go up, and we'll be glad to spray for mosquitoes. Not being kind of dismissive with the question, but everything costs money. That's really the point. The point is everything costs money. We would love to. Mosquitoes have been extra bad this year. I just had to spray my own yard again. And so that's not something that we do. It's a question that we get asked a lot, so I'm not surprised that it came up here. But it's just a service that we haven't been able to determine the cost benefit yet, or enough folks haven't asked for that service. But if that's something that the citizens are willing to pay for, it's certainly something that we wouldn't mind doing.
Thank you, Ryan. Second question, what is the best way to view the Board of Mayor and Alderman meetings?
If you want to view our meetings, you can do that on Facebook or YouTube. We want to make sure that we're transparent so everyone can watch our meetings and participate. And if there's something you want to talk about, we would all love to hear from you. It's your city.
Next question, what can be done about my neighbor's landscaping or overgrown trees?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we have the ability, and what we want you to do is call us, right, and give us an opportunity to look into those things. When you see zoning violations or code violations, we have 4 codes inspectors. We have 4. And we just added one in the last year or so, added a couple actually, or had a couple of new ones. But trying to keep up. They're doing building inspections as well as property maintenance. So that's an area where we try to keep up. So please let us know. It's really a partnership. We look at that as we rely on you just as much as you rely on us. So if we don't see it with 4 guys that are going around the city, we need you to tell us. So you can do that by calling the codes department at City Hall, or you can go to our website, springfieldtn.gov, and scroll down to the middle of the page, and there's a button called Report a Concern. Gives an online access. You can be anonymous because people don't want to tell on their neighbor. I get it. But you can go report a concern, click that, it'll go right to our codes, filtered, goes right to our codes department, and they'll send somebody out to take a look at it.
Okay, we've had a lot of interest about the mayor and your role, and so these next questions are for you. If you can share what made you want to be the mayor, and how long did it take you to become mayor?
Thank you. My journey as mayor, well, it started through the chamber, and I was very upset that my alderman didn't want the college, Highland Crest College. We were going to spend $3 million on that project, and $3 million from the county, and we were in the bank. We couldn't meet at the chamber. We were going to form a PAC to raise money to fight to have the college, because I believed that education is what we needed for our citizens so that we could get a college education right here in Springfield. And we were raising money and talking amongst ourselves, and someone in the room named Neil Peterson, who used to own the radio station, said, if you're that mad, you need to run for alderman. So that led to my career as fast forward to when Millie Paul Carneal, our former mayor, decided that he was going to retire. I ran for mayor, and 8 years later, here I am talking to you. I never dreamed at Joe Burns that I would be standing up talking to a room full of people and that I wouldn't faint. So thank you for allowing me to be the mayor. There was a second part of that question, wasn't it? The challenges.
Yes.
Challenges. Every day, we get calls, whether it's the mayor, the alderman, the city employees. I don't believe it's ever a burden. I usually am trying to make sure that I get that citizen the answers they need to their problem. And most of the time, a lot of the times, I'm telling them, you need to call the federal government. That's a state issue. And I find it a joy to be able to work each and every day for the city of Springfield. It's never a challenge to me. Of course, we all work in this room, and every day is a challenge. The tornado was a challenge. I remember when Ryan called me that day. We turned around in the middle of the road and headed to City Hall like the rest of the staff did. But I always find it a joy to work for the city of Springfield, and I just believe that we should leave this place better for the next generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. As we come to a close of our State of the City address, I want to thank you all for your presence today. Your engagement in our community's progress and future plans is invaluable. A special thank you once again to our generous sponsors, Kiwanis Club and Rotary Club of Springfield. I also want to extend my gratitude to Mayor Williams and City Manager Ryan Martin for sharing their insights and answering our questions today. As we move forward, let us remain committed to working together to make our city an even better place to live, work, and thrive. Your involvement and collaboration are key to our continued success. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.